All right, good afternoon, cyber traders. Welcome on back here this Monday, August 22nd, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Welcome on back for our afternoon meeting. Let's get a quick sound check collectively inside our live trading room, inside social media, Facebook Live or YouTube. Let me just make sure that you folks can hear me loud and clear. Hopefully good to go here and hopefully good to go for class coming up later on this afternoon. Right at 3:05 Eastern time, we'll be continuing along with the Phase 2 stock course. So great to see all of our members and students collectively here inside our live trading room, like John and Robert, Deb, Ron, Brian, Grant, Gene. Great to see everybody here. Perfect. So let's hop to it. We have the SVRE stock on the screen. Hopefully you could see that. This has been an interesting little play across the mid-afternoon. Hey, this stock ended up making a big pullback upon the market opening up. It was a bit of a dud after 9:30. Great pre-market trade. Dud after the market opened up. Actually, to the point where this ended up, and well, let me just move this line around a bit. But this ended up dropping down initially to a big level. I was initially anticipating a bounce off of that, being right off of 345 to 350, like the combination of those two prices. Had it here, like right when we started the class, the Phase 2 stock course. I'm just saying that here in hindsight because we didn't focus on SVRE right at that time, but ended up making an initial bounce, but didn't have the momentum to really make that the bounce point, the pivot point for it to run up back up towards 4 again or even higher. So ended up coming back down to retest that support. If it's going to keep testing support, it's going to break it eventually. So ended up doing it just on the next shot. Support turned into resistance. It dropped off more. And then even here, heading into like crap lunchtime area, I didn't take this trade. I would be more sitting on my hands if I even was watching that at the time. I wasn't watching this at all at this point. I was probably on the AMC trade or BBBY still at that point, or maybe even away from my desk, but ended up dropping down and down and down to the point where it ended up pulling back down to my next set of levels for my pre-market prep that I did on this trade this morning. That being a 3, but namely at 295. And really just to show that, let me just pull up the daily chart here. That might just be easier. 295 in particular was a pretty strong daily chart level. 296, 295, you could see it held here, held under here at this point, held perfectly, going back into the end of July, right under 295, 296, right here is a peak. So, hey, resistance should turn into support initially. So that's what I was calling out just a moment ago. That was right around 1:30, 1:40 Eastern time, led to a perfect play. I scaled out most of my position on this at this point just because it's not really the best time to be trading. It's like a Monday still in the middle or the end of the summer, pre-Labor Day weekend, so things should be pretty slow collectively this week. Hey, we'll take the trade. Let's see how far we can get. I'm not trying to get greedy though, so I still have some shares left on this, but I did close out, a good amount from 295. So with that, I'm not as keen to put this on the afternoon list just because I'm not as confident of it like popping and running all the way up to 4 again. I mean, if it does, I'll take it. But for you folks, like, do I really want you to be watching this stock right now? I feel like there could be better trades out there. I feel like there could be a stock right near the highs, or as a short, a stock right near the lows, typically something that we look for at this time of the day. So let's go from top to bottom. Otherwise, let's build up a pretty quick list. Then I want to make sure that we all have enough time to join class and get ready with that coming up at 3:05 Eastern. So the markets are dropping off too. So I'll also be the first here to say that Probably not going to find too much on the gainer side here, right? So with that, probably find a couple of brand name stocks that are dropping off, or maybe even some that are down on the loser side here. So the ANPC trade to begin, it's up big percentage wise, or it already made such a big run from earlier today. So I'm not expecting too big of a bounce if it even looks to make a bounce. Kind of already did from like 39 cents up to 43. I feel like that's good enough already. Let's see what else is out there. Now, the drug trade, this is one of a few different runners we ended up calling out after the market opened up. Now, this one took us a bit by surprise, where back from Thursday this week, it made a huge squeeze from 1 all the way up to near 5. Came back down, and, hey, you'll hear me say this too every now and then. You just don't know when that will be. But, that's a stock that you would keep on your side list. For as volatile and rangy as the stock was back from Thursday of the end of last week, you feel like you can capture like a micro version of that run at some point. Not even to say up towards 340, 345, the high like it made today, but hell, if this could pop at the open, get up to 2, that would be a home run. To see $1.40, $1.35 stock run up to $2. This thing ended up blasting above 2, ended up just actually holding that as support a moment ago, actually here. But, ended up running up much higher right from 2, ended up, as I'd said before, topping off at 345. So much like the ANPC trade, this one's pretty much done for here for the afternoon. Probably say the same on a few different stocks, and perhaps I wouldn't have said that on Kaba up until literally this big shake from 2 right here. So a moment ago, I would have said, hey, this thing's looking pretty strong right near the highs. And even if I put it on our list at that point, if we caught it early enough, I'm sure one of us would have wrote the shake down here inside the chat board, inside our live trading room. Probably would have turned back over to the stock, and I probably would have scratched it off from our list. So, hey, better that we caught this here, if anything. But yeah, Kaba, we're not going to follow at this point for the close. This is almost like the drop that Rev made. We'll get to that one probably in a little bit too. All right, we keep it going. We keep it moving. NERV, same thing here. It looks like it's just waiting for a big drop back down to 4. So pass on that. The SMMT trade. This was an awesome trade here across the early to mid afternoon. Another great trade you could say from pre-market, but much like the SVRE trade, this one was a bit of a dud after the market opened up. It popped at first, but then pulled back. You know what? Actually, how about this? We ended up doing well on this stock across the early afternoon. If you're inside our live trading room, you could easily just scroll up and read the chat. I will explain this move if you join me live in class this afternoon. How about that? At the top of the Phase 2 stock course this afternoon at 3:05, as basically a continuation from this morning's class, I will explain this trade in full, like a la Traders Talk style. So, this was a great run across the early to mid-afternoon here, this SMMT stock. But again, same thing for this as the others. It's cooked here at this point. It's definitely a done deal. We're not going to look to follow this here. I'm not expecting another big pop, at least. All right, we keep it going. The Bimmy trade. Cheapy ended up making a decent move to begin, but, there could always be room for more. I like that it's near the highs. Don't get me wrong there, but normally be trying to at least trade stocks above $1, stocks that are looking pretty strong going up. So strong going up, but I'm going to pass on this trade here. All right, SMMT we already talked about, and we just kind of left off on that one. Let me keep it going. SGFY, this almost looks like a buyout. I didn't check the news on this stock, folks, but it popped up in pre-market early. I thought there was a little more movement to it for it to not be a buyout. So, if I was ignorant of the news and it's a buyout, that's on me. But ended up just completely flattening out afterwards here. I mean, I reckon you could say this is a short. Ended up dropping off slightly after the market opened. At this point now, I'm just going to shoot from the hip and guess that's a buyout. All right. What else do we have here? What else do we have? The GBNH stock. Try saying that 3 times fast. Ended up getting halted 3 times fast on the way up. And then, well, once it got halted on the way down, that was it. So, this stock definitely pretty volatile and pretty thinly traded at that. So I'm going to pass on this stock here, the GBNH. GRFX. This had a nice little run to it in like mid to late morning. Oh, is it not popping up now even? I know this gave Rich some issues. Rich L inside our live trading room a little bit earlier, one of our educators here. And, with that, I guess this thing's freezing up on me a little bit right now too. Before all things were a go on the chart, ended up making a decent push. You could actually just tell from the daily chart here, went from 3 all the way up towards the high of like 450, but came back down much like the others. APRN, one of my few losses on the day. Actually, did I break even? I think I even went on this one. To be the first to tell you. So I had like 1 loss today, 1 break even. This was my break even. I was in and out right from 6. So I said a moment ago before I started this meeting, it's been choppy and I was looking for a squeeze up and off of 6. I think it was even here when the volume came in. But if it's not going to make that big move shortly after, it's just not worth it. So I ended up going in right at 601, out at 6 on the nose. So, break even trade for the most part there. And with that, it's still chopping around. It's still holding strong. You could say near the highs, maybe right place, wrong time. And when we're, doing the Phase 2 stock course, perhaps this will look to make a pop. I'll tell you what, I'm looking down at my notepad right now, folks. I don't see a single stock I ended up actually writing down for this afternoon's meeting. So APRN may as well be the first here. It's near the highs. It's right there. It's just such a choppy trade. Now, perhaps you could attribute that to the 145,000 share iceberg order that popped up on the ask at 6:15. How long that was there for, I don't know. I didn't have my book map up even when I took my trade on Blue Apron. I probably should have. So I was expecting a pretty quick reaction off the 6 level, as it was already chopping around that price. Give me a quick sec right now. Looks like, of course, Bookmap freezing up on me. Very timely for Bookmap to do that. Give me a quick sec, folks. Got to click a little warning sign there, I guess. A little issue occurred. All right, we'll get Blue Apron up here in a moment. I want to see how long that iceberg order is out there for. He's still showing at 6:15. So here's what I have. So I don't think that he was up really, or maybe he just popped up right at the time that I had gotten in. So it would have helped. Probably wouldn't have jumped in if this order was here at 6:12. Well, I'll tell you, whether he ended up just moving up to 6:15 as is, or if that's a completely different order, 6:15 right now is a pretty big resistance on this trade here for the Blue Apron. Give me a quick sec. Looks like another freeze up here on Bookmap. Oh, no, we're good. Okay. Scary moment. I got to make sure this is good to go for class. We'll be good. All right. So with that, though, Blue Apron just 6:15. Unless if it breaks above that, I'm not expecting any respectable move at all in this trade. Otherwise, it's going to be a respectable move on the way down. So I'll have this on our list with hopes and dreams of this popping resistance. But let's see if there's anything looking better even. ACON from before. Pass on that. Markets are dropping off, so I said it a moment ago. I'm not expecting for there to be a whole lot on the way up here at this point. UVXY is up 9% plus, trending up pretty damn nicely. So I may as well throw this on our list here at this point. We're not always particular about the ETFs, but if it's within our price range and it's very liquid, to the point where at least you could use level 4 to try and trade it, then UVXY would be a decent symbol to try and trade here. It's not a stock, it's an ETF, though. Just keep that in mind. All right, let's hop over to the losers list. AMC. We ended up doing really well on the run up here on AMC. So ended up squeezing up, actually led to a great 2-point move, but it got halted twice on the way up, once on the way down. Once it got halted on the way down, game over. So, this stock right now is done for, unless if you could short it. I'd say the same on Bed Bath Beyond. Obviously, you could tell we ended up going through Bed Bath Beyond in class from earlier. Well, it's holding above the opening print right now, that's for sure. That yellow line that we plotted from the Phase 2 course earlier today, that led to a really nice slingshot from the market open on the Bed Bath Beyond trade. So with that, let's just at least show the chart. Ended up making a nice pop prior to the market opening. Here's your opening print price at 961. Resistance initially became support, and then ended up flying from there. I ended up jumping in for my next level ahead here right off 990. We showed that pretty much in full in class. So with saying that, right now, Bed Bath Beyond, same deal on this as I said on AMC. Unless if you could short these trades, unless if you can get the shares to short them, they're not going to be like really, at all a trade to follow here for the close. So if you could short them, put them on your personal list. If not, I'd move on. CVNA could be a great stock to move on to. So one of our students, Mark, ended up doing pretty nicely on this trade, I believe, from earlier. And I know it's one of his side list stocks that he ends up following, if not day to day, then most days of the week. So I know that he's looking forward to this trade here for the afternoon, a short down towards 35 perhaps. Major support I'm expecting to be right off 35. Doesn't show much of an order just yet on the bid, but if I pull up Bookmap level 4 here, I'll try and do it without it freezing up on me again. Hopefully it doesn't. All right, we got about 10,000, 11,000 shares in between there on the bid right now at 35. So just so you know, that's our next support here. So CVNA looks like a good short just right off the lows here at this time. Stitch Fix, I didn't see this down as much right now, or up until right now. It's a little slow though. Decent. It's actually not too liquid though. I was expecting the order book to be a lot more filled in here. It's on a great spread and it's 100% tradable. And I mean that in the best of ways. This isn't too liquid. So you know what? And right now, too, big print filled right off 573 at the ask. So if it holds under that price, that could remain a really good short trade. If it squeezes above 573, perhaps there'll be a little bit more covering on the stock. But the Stitch Fix trade I'll put on our watch list for right now looks good. The CGC Canopy Growth. Now this is too liquid. That's a little too much volume on the bid for this stock to break through. So I'm happy that we caught the SFIX stock. Let's see here. Anything else across the loser side? Down big. Any known names aside from AMC and Bobby J? We got Real. We got PACB. PACB. Was that the one that ended up pumping? Oh, yeah. You could just tell based off the daily chart. Oh, my goodness. What a disaster. And ended up making this big squeeze. It actually was running up pretty nicely as like a swing trade, so to say. In hindsight, easy to say, just nice day over day move. But back from August 11th, I distinctly recall this stock ended up making this run. I was on a coaching call with one of our students at the time, and it was shortable back then as it is right now. But long story short, this stock ended up making a move right up towards big resistance. We ended up scoping out right there real time, right off of basically 14 on the nose. It topped off right at 14 perfectly that day and came right back down. But look at where it is today. It's not just saying, look at the pop and drop, but look how far it dropped off after. Ended up dropping all the way down towards 571 right now. So, that it's simple to say. It's harder to do if you're not a day trader just yet. You have to learn and train yourself to set stops and make sure you don't get into this pickle. But you never turn a day trade into a swing trade. You always have intention of it being a swing trade, I don't know, before you enter the trade, right? If not, then you need to go back to the drawing board, right? I'll tell you what, too. I don't know why it is so damn dimly lit here. I got to switch a couple of things up here. Last couple of meetings, pretty bright. I don't know what's going on. All right, let's keep it moving, though, here. All right, to finish up the loser side, I'll tell you what, I think that's pretty much it for me across the losers list. There's not much else that we really need to look through. SOXL is an ETF that's, a good short with the market dropping off. Semiconductor ETF. Grant says AMC dead now, but Bed Bath Beyond trying at 969. I'm going to pass on it, though. It's not going to tempt me to try and long Bed Bath Beyond today, at least at this point. From the market open, absolutely. But at this point right now, there is no real momentum unless if you're just hoping for a meme run again. That's really the truth behind it. Same to be said on AMC. AMC is definitely cooked. The Rev trade, what the hell's going on here? I cannot believe the run that Rev is making back up right now. This thing I thought was dead and gone. We wrote an obituary for this trade earlier. Jeez, this trade ended up dropping off so far, so fast. Listen, off of 6, a whole number, okay, expect a bit of a bounce and under and over. All right, cool. I ended up missing out on this trade because from the morning, it just wasn't worth it to me. Not always do you have a very clean market open to the point where after 3 trades, it's all right, that's it. So I ended up taking a 3-cent loss on Rev earlier, much earlier, before this thing completely crapped out. That was my only loss on the day, aside from the break even on Blue Apron. This thing crashed. I'm not trying to jump in. I already hit my mark. I don't need to take this trade. Well, I said real time, it would have been nice off of 6 if I under and over, a quick little scalp. At that time, I was not expecting this to make its run all the way up towards 8 again. So with saying that, it's hard to ignore Rev as a day trade at this point now. So you know what? I'll put this back on our list. Now, as far as where the big levels are on this trade, I do have Bookmap open here. Let's take a quick look. I'll bring this up one last go around. I know we have class coming up right at 3:05 Eastern, actual class here. So with that, for any one of us on social media, may as well say now, if you wanted to join our live trading room or go so far as being a student of ours, go right down to the link on the yellow banner below of the stream. For all of us inside the live trading room, Rich already went a step ahead, posted the link for class right in the chat board. So for any of our phase 2 students and above, you folks, I look forward to seeing you there. The Rev trade ended up dropping off quite a bit, ended up bouncing right from that 6th level here. Yeah, it's going to find some resistance right off 760 in particular, and then just a little bit under 8. So if it actually contains itself right under 760 here, then I would really look out for another big drop coming up on this trade. It needs to hold over 760. More importantly, make a spike off of it pretty soon. Not even 750, which is the level I would normally assume for that to be, but 760, I'd say. All right, so let me just see if there's anything else from Benzinga Pro or from YouTube or Facebook Live right now. If there's anything that you folks have for me, definitely type it in on the chat boards here. Let's just take a quick look. I thought I took that away. All right, what do we have here? The GRFX stock, I think that I don't think for some reason my chart's loading up on that trade. PET, looks like that was starting to make a small move back up earlier, but seems like it fell off. You have the Sun W stock. This looks good. This looks pretty nice. It's up over 10%. Nice, safe stock, very liquid, good spread, cheap, right at the highs. It's trading about 4,000 or 5,000 shares a minute. So let's hope to see that number increase over time. The only way that increases is, well, two ways it increases, but the preferred way we look to see that increase is if it breaks above resistance coming up here. So Sun W, I'll add to our watch list right now. It looks pretty strong. The Blue Apron stock's already on our list. That is now at 611. So hopefully that makes the break above 615 sooner than later. All right, folks, I think that we're going to call it for right now. We got class right at 3:05, so I want to make sure not just our students, but myself, make sure I'm timely in there right to begin. So for all of us on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, I appreciate you folks sticking with me each and every day and across last week and up until I think on Wednesday, each and every morning. If you have any questions, feel more than free to send over a quick email, josh@ctutrading.com. I got to fix the lighting in my home office. We'll get that changed by tomorrow, I think. Or if not by tomorrow, then by Wednesday. But I appreciate you folks standing with me here. And then aside from that, for all of us live in the chat board right now inside the cyber group room, I look forward to seeing most of us in class soon. Take care.
Become a cyber group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just $9. Do it today.